Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Vivid Voltage, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using the code Omnipoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at Eternatus VMAX. This is going to be the sort of straight build of Eternatus. There's a second school of thought with this deck where you can be playing a poison package with Galarian Slowbro V and Toxicroak to increase your damage output. But this one is the more sort of straightforward, hope that you just draw good and that the regular stats on Eternatus is strong enough, and I certainly think that could be the case. Both builds of Eternatus are doing equally well in online tournaments, so one hasn't really shot it over the other to be the out-and-out best list, so take your pick on what sort of Eternatus list you want to be playing. But the one in front of you is quite a streamlined, straightforward build that I've been, having some decent fun with. So let's jump into the list, starting off with the 4-4 line of the Eternatus VMAX. The reason why we have such high counts of Pokemon in this deck is really because they end up being fuel for the Dread End attack, which is the main focus of the deck. For a dark and colorless, you do 30 times the amount of your dark Pokemon in play. That means that thanks to the Eternal Zone ability, allowing us to extend our bench to up to 8 Pokemon, means that Dread End can be doing 270 damage for just 2 energy attachments, making it a really, really dangerous beat stick in the game. On top of that, we have a ridiculous 340 hit points that's just really, really silly. Makes this guy stick around, hopefully, for at least a turn or two, so yeah, this Eternatus is certainly very strong, and it's what we entirely build around. Quick note on the V, it's not just a springboard into the VMAX because that has the very relevant attack power accelerator. For a colorless energy, you do 30, and you can attach a dark energy from one of your Pokemon, from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon, which is really, really helpful, especially against Crushing Hammers. Crushing Hammer is rife in the game right now, and Eternatus is a big reason for that, because we typically are just trying to attach 1 energy per turn. We don't have any inherent energy acceleration except for this early game attacking option, which can help set up multiple V Pokemon. So if your opponent is flipping heads on Crushing Hammers, or if they are taking an early aggressive knockout, you still moved energy to the bench where you can have multiple threats trying to get ready for the following turn. So this attack is definitely something to bear in mind. I still, I'm kind of 50-50 about whether or not I want to go first. I think if you are in online tournaments, in a lot of situations, you'll choose to go second with this deck, so you can get that power accelerator off if you know your opponent is playing Crushing Hammers. But against things like ADP and such, it would still be really beneficial to go first with this deck, in my opinion. So yeah, do keep in mind the power accelerator attack. I think it's definitely a strong one. We then play 4 copies of Crobat V. Obviously, this is, when we're talking about any of the Pokemon from this point on, they're always 30 plus damage for the Dread End, so that's a huge reason to put them into play in the first place. But Crobat has the Dark Asset ability that allows us to draw until we have 6 in our hand, which is obviously going to be fantastic for us to reload, get ourselves extra energy attachments on the board, get ourselves our next VMAX powered up, and hopefully work towards gusting pieces like Boss's Orders and Great Catchers that we're playing in here. So yeah, Dark Asset, definitely a fantastic ability to help us ticking over throughout the game. From there, we have Galarian Zigzagoon. Again, it's fodder for the Dread End, but also the Headbutt Tantrum means that we can hone in damage counters on some tankier Pokemon. Obviously, ADP has 280 hit points raw, so hopefully 1 Zigzagoon ping and a full board helps you knock that out. Also, just by the time turn 2 comes around, it's hard for us to actually find that many bench Pokemon, so sometimes you'll just be using Zigzagoon to Headbutt Tantrum the active to make it so that sometimes you need 1 less Pokemon if it's helping you towards that 30 times multiplier. Sometimes there are breakpoints of damage where enough tantrums puts you 1 less Pokemon in range for a knockout, which is obviously going to be important for your tempo. We don't play any Scoop Up Net in this sort of build, but you could add in Scoop Up Nets if you wanted to be even more aggressive against things like Giant Charm or Big Charm, and at the same time opposing VMAX decks. At the moment, we're just hoping that something like a Power Accelerator plus Headbutt Tantrums from Zigzagoons can help us reach a knockout with a Dread End on some of those high hit point things. But at the moment, I'm just accepting that 270 is probably enough, especially with the help of Tantrums in the early turns. But you can lean into this ability more, and earlier builds of Eternatus have had up to 4 Scoop Up Nets to make that ability more spammable throughout the game. We're playing 2 copies of Spiritomb. Building Spite means that he can power himself up just by sitting on the bench and chilling throughout the entire game. And with just 1 attachment, you can do Anguish Cry, which is 10 and 30 more for each damage on this Pokemon. So hopefully he's ticking away, getting extra damage built up so he can at least help do a 1v1 against single prize Pokemon to help skew that prize trade. That's oftentimes going to be a great use for the Spiritomb. Obviously, it is an attacker that can start hitting Zamazenta, as well as Decidueye. These are both horrific matchups for Eternatus. I do believe the Poison build has a better chance against both of those matchups, but I still feel that those matchups are really hard anyway. Obviously, Decidueye decks can play Aroma Grass now so that they can avoid Poison altogether. And Zamazenta typically is just going to out-tank attackers like Spiritomb and Sableye V. So you pretty much hold your hands up as Eternatus and say that you're trying to dodge and weave the worst matchups out there right now. But Spiritomb can at least give you a hope in those sorts of instances. We are playing a Yveltal. It's going to be 30 damage, as always, but it also has a really nice free retreat, which is a huge deal for us, especially because of the amount of Pikarom in the format right now. Paralysis is a big win condition for them with that Tandem Shock from the Raichu, so switching into a free retreat pivot, which gets you back into your VMAX, is going to be a great way to keep the pressure on them and not allow them to have that free turn, which is cool. Derail is sometimes an attack that you can think about. It can remove a special energy from your opponent's active. This can be useful in like mirror match situations, for example. Again, it can be a way that you can skew the prize trade, hit them with a Marnie, try and derail an energy and hope that it's hard for them to then get, you know, energy boss off of like that low hand size after the Marnie. And it means that maybe you could weave in your win condition the following turn. So in panic situations, I wouldn't sleep on the derail attack either. From there, our item cards are relatively simple. Lots of Ball Search cards, 4 Great Ball, 4 Quick Ball, and 3 Pokemon Communication. All, you know, pretty much just to help us not only get our VMAX out in the first place, but get a bunch of Pokemon into play for that dread end so that we can do the damage that we really want to be doing for the one-hit KOs. We're playing a couple copies of Great Catcher in here. I just think the card is really good in the format right now. Pikachu and Zekrom oftentimes tries to hide behind a Boltund, so trying to Great Catcher those guys up and take knockouts on the 3 prizes is far more beneficial for you, so Great Catcher is a huge deal there. I think it's also really important against things like Blacephalon, where you can try and go for Marnie plus Great Catcher plays, get rid of their Oricorio, and especially if you can add the Swell in at the same turn, you can have a good chance of tanking. So I do feel like Great Catcher is just a phenomenal card in the game right now. Obviously, it's dead in the mirror match, but against pretty much everything else, it'll find a use here or there. So definitely a reasonable card for us. We're playing those 4 switches so that we can move out of anything that isn't our Eternatus VMAX for turn 2, or even on turn 1 if we're going second, so we can Power Accelerator. And we're playing such a high count just so that we can try and access it against the paralysis of the Pikarom. That's mostly something to bear in mind. I'm playing 1 copy of Chaotic Swell. The Stadium is a really contentious part of the Eternatus deck. I've seen high counts of Power Plants. I've seen the Dark City being used, mostly in the Poison builds, admittedly. There's also the option of Black Market Prism Star. For the moment, I just think there's so much Swell in the format that I don't want to commit many more spaces of my own deck if people are just going to Swell me anyway. So I'm just going to commit 1 space, have a Swell in here. It's going to be annoying for Center Scorch, it's going to be annoying for Blacephalon, and I'm not going to worry about these clogging my hand at any point. So yeah, just the 1 space being committed, just because so many other top decks right now, ADP, Mewtwo, Pikarom, these decks are all playing Swell themselves, so why am I going to commit like 2-3 spaces to a Stadium that's just going to get gobbled up anyway? Doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. The supporters are pretty streamlined and pretty straightforward. 3 boss for Gusting, 4 money for Hand Disruption for those annoying combo decks, mostly Welder decks. You're going to try and disrupt as much as possible, but whenever you can, Marnie people out of large hand sizes, it's going to be really nice for you, seeing as though you're just pretty tried and trusted. Once you set up your Eternatus VMAX, you're just swinging pretty hard. All you're looking for is energy attachments turn by turn. You don't need much of a hand from then on, so the Marnie is always going to be nice for you. And we're playing 4 copies of Research as well. It can help us have those deep dives in the opening turns so that we're not missing energy attachments, so that we're able to spam our board with Pokemon quickly, all those sorts of things. For energy, I'm playing 2 copies of Capture. They're a really nice deal for you, especially because the Accelerator is a colorless attack cost, so it rarely punishes us, and it allows us just to go ahead and grab an early Pokemon. Oftentimes getting the Yveltal for a pivot down early is nice, or Spiritomb to start threatening that build spite out the gates can certainly be helpful. Again, really nice against some Crushing Hammer based decks. It can be a great way for you to finish things off after a Dread End as well, so definitely something that you want to develop and start building towards needing, just in case you need it in the game as well. So those captures are really nice, and of course they're increasing your damage output as well throughout. And then I'm playing 10 copies of Basic Dark. I'm pretty scared of the amount of special energy hate in the game right now. Again, some mirror match situations will be playing Dangerous Drill. There's going to be some Giratina Scoop Up Net being played in Centiscorch. So I just don't want to deal with that sort of stuff. I just want to have as many basic energies around as possible so that I'm not getting sort of scammed by those cards, but also the biggest scam of them all is Crushing Hammer in the game right now, and Power Accelerator being as live as possible is definitely a priority for me, and the Hiding Dark Energy only counts as a dark when it's attached, so when it's in your hand, you can't Power Accelerator. So having a total of 10 basic energy should give us really good odds of hitting that Power Accelerator so that we're not just, you know, completely mugged off by Crushing Hammers hitting heads. For other cards that you can think about going into this deck, there are some other dark Pokemon that you could always consider, seeing as though it's working toward Dread End in the first place. They only need a little bit of upside to be worth considering. Even when you're not playing Toxicroak, you could still think about adding in the Galarian Slowbro V to this list, seeing as though you're playing 4 Switch cards. You can think about the Hoopers as well. There's a Hooper that can come into the active and just deal 90. There's also the Evil Admonition Hooper that you could certainly consider. Outside of that, the stadium, like I've said, is oftentimes questioned and changed, chopped and changed between different Eternatus players. I think the card that you don't see too much in the Eternatus deck is the 2 copies of Great Catcher. These are potentially flexible spots for you if you wanted to try out like other Pokemon or other things. I've also tried these 2 spaces being Pokegears. I do believe Pokegear is also nice, being some decent defense against Marnie, which is rife in the format right now. And it could be an extra way for you to help push towards boss in the late game. So Pokegear could also be the spaces of the Great Catcher if you don't find them all that useful, and if the meta starts shifting towards more V and VMAX Pokemon, obviously the Great Catchers get less powerful. So that's going to be the list. Let's jump into some gameplay and see how Eternatus goes. I'll hold my hands up and say that I'm not super experienced with Eternatus. I've been playing it over the last few days just to get a feel for the deck, but I've actually not profiled Eternatus on the channel until now. I've only done it pre its release, so this is my first PTCGO gameplay of Eternatus that you guys will be seeing, and that's really because I think it's a fairly one-dimensional deck. There isn't much wiggle room if your opponent is flipping heads on Crushing Hammers, outside of doing those Power Accelerator plays and just taking a turn chilling, but I do feel that's a big black mark against the deck, which makes me not a huge fan of it personally, but you have to respect its strengths, and there's plenty of those around. So yeah, that's going to be Eternatus. Let's see what we come up against. Seeing a green deck box could mean Decidueye, which you hate to see. Could also mean Rillaboom, Rowegg, which is another deck that I don't want to come up against. I am going to choose to go second. I feel like there's so much Crushing Hammer in the ladder right now that I always want to lean towards Power Accelerator if I can. And that's also kind of demonstrated by the 60 that we're actually playing. We'll also get the benefit of seeing what our opponent is choosing to use as well. Looks like they're playing an Orbital VMAX deck with some lightning dudes. Okay. Well, spread is kind of awkward for us to play around because we need to put Pokemon down for our damage. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, they're playing Ampharos. So I imagine they're trying to use Damaging Spark with the Telescopic Sight for high damage output. It's probably going to be the thing. We do have 1 Crobat in the prize cards. The Great Catchers aren't looking like they're going to be too good. We only have 2 Boss if I choose to research, which I probably will be doing this turn. Okay. So Spiritomb's a bit ugly to put down because it's so squishy. I won't be building Spite with it, that's for sure. But I still want to get it into play because, I mean, it's basically the same hit points as a Zigzagoon, more or less, right? So Orbital has 310, which means if I commit all 4 Zigzagoon pings to it, I could Dread End to knock it out at some point. I'm going to hold this Crobat because I can remove a lot more cards next turn, especially with the Power Accelerator coming in now. Oh, we actually do the poke like this, so this is perfect for setting up the VMAX for later on with a Gust play, actually. I imagine they'll just be using Electrify this turn. I can't see them building an Ampharos all in one go, even with Tapu Koko plays. Yeah, they're going to throw that back into the deck. They're going to make the Orbital VMAX. They can start getting their eerie beams off. There's a quick ball as well. We get their next Orbital. Okay, tons of spread. We're going to be on the clock, that's for sure. They have a research also. Ton of these boys. Okay. Eerie Beam, probably straight into Electrify. So we're going to try and win in 3 turns, though. We're going to try and kill this, and kill whatever else they try and attack with. They'll be attacking with this next turn, probably. So we're at 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 with the Crobats. I really don't know what's best to damage here. 15, 18 with the Crobat. I would have to find another Pokemon anyway if it's relevant here. It feels not super relevant. Do hit our next VMAX. Certainly don't want to whiff a Pokemon. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. They have a hand. I'm not too afraid of it. I just need to make sure I'm sticking to the goal of winning in 3 turns. Alright, we will announce Dread End. We did draw into a boss, so it would be nice to pick up the Orbital. But I still probably need to deal with the attacker first. Okay, I'm going to see our first Eerie Beam. They're going into the Orbital, so either they're passing in the active with this, or they have something like a Bird Keeper or a Switch to play this turn. See the Koko. They've only got rid of a Speed Lightning so far. There's the Switch. And the Research. Okay. There's the next VMAX. There's the energy. So, they take a prize on Spiritomb. They should probably be switching into this one. Because I am kind of... I mean, these 2 guys are dead, so he only needs to kill 1 VMAX. I want basically all of these cards, because they're all amazing cards to be stamped into. Possibly not the Com. Com probably the weakest card to be stamped into. Making sure I'm not being a fool with the energies. Sorry, with the Dread End damage. So they can double Eerie Beam, take 2 prizes, but where does their knockout come from? Even with the Coco and like an Aurora, that only gets them to 150. Coco East Switch Shenanigans doesn't get them close enough either. There's an energy to the Ampharos. There's a telescopic, but all of these are miles away. And as long as we don't get disrupted, there's no problem here. They can at least play a Marnie here. They still have a supporter to play. We'll see though. I'm going to play a switch. Good to be passing in the active with this guy. The Bird Keeper. Alright, we get there. We're at 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So that's 18. That's 210. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 210. Alright, an obscure matchup to come up against first. But everything pretty much went okay there for us. That's kind of the thing about Eternatus. There can be times where you just sort of sit there twiddling your thumbs knowing that you've just built such a big board, because if they're not playing Energy Disruption, there's not too much to be super afraid of, realistically. You should be out-damaging Pikarom, out-damaging Center Scorch, out-damaging pretty much everything in the format, but it's just how your opponent tries to slow you down, be it hammers, be it stamps, be it status. Those are the kind of pitfalls they put on you. Did lose the coin flips, so we're going to go second again by virtue of our opponent choosing first. We have an awesome start here. Well, maybe not awesome, but it's pretty okay. A free retreat pivot's good. We'd love to draw a Crobat, a supporter, or an Eternatus V to make this hand wide open. How low am I in the ladder? Hello. Right. I see a Dino. How greedy can we play the hand when I see a Dino? We have 3 more Quick Balls, 4 Great Balls, 3 Com, 4 Crobats, 4 Research, 4 Marnies. All as good plays if I choose to capture an Eternatus here. Okay, so I've prized a Quick, I've prized a Com, I've prized a Great Ball. That hurts all of our outs. And I've prized 2 Research. Okay, so our outs get worse if I make a greedy line here. So I could go Crobat instead, play Zigzagoon, retreat, switch back into this, and I'd be Crobatting for 3. It doesn't feel like enough cards, you know? I don't want to Power Accelerator because I want to be attacking with the VMAX next turn. So we'll just Chillette this and play with Look No Hands. See the Evo Incense, can they turn this into a Hydreigon? We're playing against some decks today. It's 2021 out here, for sure. Don't know what year our opponents are playing in though. Okay, our greedy line kind of bailed out by our opponent here. They do have a Pokemon while we're up against Grimmsnarl. Okay. Okay. See now the Dino come down and the DAA change. I'm gonna throw away a rare candy with a quick ball, probably looking for the regular V. Yep. They could be using Spiky Knuckle this turn if they've got a good hand. Could use Crobat for more dig. Just another Grimmsnarl. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Okay. We'll just choose to ignore what we've just seen. They've also left the Hydreigon in the active position for us. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So I don't need to make a big push with the Crobat. I don't need to Calm Dance. I can just draw the 3 if I want to. I don't have a supporter in hand though, so I probably will do a Calm Dance. When we have a couple supporters prized, I think a Calm Dance is reasonable. Alright, let's play this down. Let's use Dread End. Well, our opponent forgot that they DAA changed, so I'm hoping their hand's not dead. Oh boy, it is. They're just private wisdoming to hope. Hope is good. Oh man. They've already got rid of a couple candies, a couple incense as well, so not high odds for them to get the Hydreigon, and exactly they're happy to, well, they're forced to just wireless here. We can Crobat for a fresh 5. Don't feel under any pressure, obviously. So we'll hold the hand. Don't feel like I have to Marnie to dig for boss or anything. I'm happy to try and two-shot my way through the VMAX if it ever comes. Do you see a reset stamp? Do they have any more draw Pokemon? They have Eldegoss, that can get them Marnie, but that's going to give us an extra card. Gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, they might be launching an attack this turn, even if it is just a Spiky Knuckle. Looks like they only had one energy. Okay, we'll get one more in, because the ladder is perplexing today. The deck's been running well though, right? The deck's... You can only say the deck's been running well. Our opponent gets to choose whether or not they'd like to begin. They are going to choose to go first, so we'll be going second once again with the deck. And we've got a really nice hand this time. We've got the Quick Ball for the next Eternatus if I want to just Power Accelerator to it. We can hold a research. Most likely a mirror match when you see a Yveltal. Most likely a mirror match. So things to be aware of in the mirror, mostly is if they play Dangerous Drill and being a little bit more cautious about using your special energy cards. Those are the key things to keep focus of. Really thinking if I want to quick pull away the Com or the Boss here. I could boss up Eternatus or Crobat to make it more difficult for them to actually get the VMAX next turn. So the Crobat is like trying to slow them down kind of play. Casing the Eternatus V pushes it to 310, which means I still need to hit all 4 Zigzagoon pings. So I want to quick ball first if I'm doing... So I want to quick ball the Com away, I guess. To see if it's worth... Okay, so we only have 3 Zigzagoons, so I'm never bossing up the Eternatus V. I'm bossing up the Crobat to buy myself time, and I'm just going to Power Accelerator and then hold a research for next turn. Knowing that I'm only ever two-shotting the Eternatus VMAX anyway, it means that I can... I don't need to completely go wide with the research this turn, if that makes sense. We can try and two-shot it by doing like 150 into 200 kind of thing. They are holding the Switch regardless, but when we're holding a 1-card research, it's pretty okay. Also deterred our opponent from using a Marnie against us, which is kind of nice. So they play a couple copies of Absol, which is messing up our pivot of Yveltal. Certainly an option as well. The Absols mostly are in here to try and disrupt Air Balloon from Pikarom and ADP. So our opponent doesn't get enough for the KO, which is good news. Do I want to switch into this Eternatus? Certainly do. So we're missing on energy, but we have 2 punts with Great Ball to try and hit a Crobat to get us out of this mess. We have 1 shot. Ugh, that's really bad for us. Okay. This is most ungood. This is most ungood. 12 energy list missing the energy feels bad. What am I switching into? I guess I switch into Yveltal. They've played 3 Marnies, so should I play around the last Marnie? Probably shouldn't, right? I should probably just chill. So they grab a Crobat. They're probably digging for boss by the looks of things. They definitely want to be bossing rather than hitting the 1 prizer here. They have the boss, so that's a big yikes. Okay. This is a long way away from being a game that we can win now. We'll try though. It's going to be us trying to dodge and weave boss for the entire game now. Basically. Which isn't a great feel. Oh, they're going to research, and we don't have a Marnie currently in hand. Dang it. Decklist is playing a ton more Pokemon than ours. They're playing double Absol and at least one Hooper. Alright, they're going to switch. Ah, we actually did draw on Marnie, which is our only hope, really. If we're trying to do the don't have boss game plan. I have to start building Spite as well. So this is at 300. I need to have Switch in my hand for next turn, and I've played 2, so I probably need to boss this turn. Hit this for 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 210. 210 puts it at 90. Oh man, if I'd built Spite last turn, I could have done this. Ah man, I missed out on a build Spite for too long. So maybe it goes, I hit this, I switch and Marnie next turn, hit with this, kill this, then he comes in with this, hits this, then I hit with full board and then finish with Spiritomb, or I have to Spiritomb and then come back in with a VMAX. Yeah, so I just have to do no actions here, knowing that I'm holding Switch. So if they have boss in this hand, it's fair enough. But this is probably the most likely way I win. It's that I switch Marnie. Yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of the worst of Eternatus, which is exactly what you saw, right? We just missed an energy drop, and we immediately lose the game because of it. And that's kind of a rough feeling, really. I mean, that's why Crushing Hammers are so big in the game right now. But when it's us researching and double Great Balling, missing all of our Crobats, and missing any energy, that's pretty low odds, I would say. And also missing any comms. Otherwise, I felt we were... I mean, the boss's orders play was maybe questionable. Maybe I could have just researched and found energy the other side of the hand for the Power Accelerator play. But I definitely value the Power Accelerator early on, and I feel like it's rare that you get punished from that situation. If I'd built Spite, I could play differently that turn, I think. Oh no, I would have to play differently the following turn anyway. So, the game plan was hit the active, then we get hit back, then we play Switch Marnie, finish off the current VMAX with our VMAX, then we get hit with their benched VMAX that had only 40 damage on it, then we would use a Spiritomb to hit it for like 90, and then we could, because then this only gives up one prize obviously, and they had 2 remaining. But either way, we were trying to dodge a boss. They'd only played 2. I think the only upside from that stage is that they'd filled up their board with a bunch of Crobats, so if I could Marnie them the following turn, we would have possibly been okay. But yeah, that's Eternatus anyway. We basically beat 2 non-meta decks and then just lost a mirror. So not the most enthralling gameplay, I'm afraid, today, guys. But that's Eternatus. Hope you enjoyed the list. Let me know what you guys think about Eterna. Do you prefer Poison or do you prefer the straightforward build? I'll hear your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you then tomorrow. Bye.